seconds.
Excellent. I'm always nervous before a live.
Hi everyone, I think we're live. Welcome to Online Events Made Simple Live. We're episode 24 today and we're joined with the lovely Sabrina Meyers, who is the founder of Hot Hospitality Exchange, which is always a bit of a funny one to say. Sabrina, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Rianne and Event Mind for having me on today. It is such a pleasure being here and chatting with you on a Friday.
Yes.
And a little introduction to myself. I'm Sabrina Meyers, as Rianne said, founder of Hot Hospitality Exchange, which is my brand where I create online content and social media campaigns and strategize on all things events industry, event profs, and from an event planner's perspective. I'm also a global freelance event planner, having executed events for many, many years. And I also come from the hospitality sales background as well. So that's a little
amazing. You have such a wide background and you also are an industry vlogger as well. You kind of cover all bases, which is what we like to hear. Sabrina, how did you start off in the industry? Obviously, it's a big industry to try and get your hands in.
Absolutely. Well, I took the hospitality sales path into the industry, I would say. I actually studied hospitality in Singapore, where I'm from. I did my diploma and then I transferred over to Sydney, Australia, and I did a degree in hospitality, tourism, and business. And I knew I wanted to be in hospitality. So my first job was actually a sales coordinator for back then Starwood Hotels.
Very different.
Very different. But it was great because it was my sales and it was event sales. And I got to work very closely with, the sales managers and directors who were selling event space, as well as the operations and logistics guys who were actually creating and executing the events. So it was a great basis for, basically everything I've done up until now to give me a greater understanding of the industry. Then I moved over to London, where I lived for 6 years. And half of that time I spent still doing hospitality sales, actually a quarter of that time. And then I branched over into event management and I actually started up an event agency in London. It was called Life in Motion Events, Life in Motion Group. And it was headquartered in New York, and I opened the London office with my boss at the time. And that's where I basically, I guess, experienced and started my whole evolution and building my career within the events industry. And then after I moved to Germany, I realized, and I had a child. I have a 7-year-old, so that changes everything.
It does.
And so I very quickly realized that if I still wanted to continue doing what I was doing, I didn't speak a word of German. So
really?
I didn't. So I'm fully conversational now, but back then I didn't, and I was pregnant. And so I took 2 years off, to be mommy. And then I realized that I really wanted to come back into the industry. And I actually came back from as a venue finding consultant, working for an American company. They were based in Arizona, and I was remotely working in venue sourcing. So I did that for 2 years, and then I got a contract role with George B. Johnson, which is also a remote role, producing and executing and managing events for one of their big clients, IBM. So I worked very closely with the IBM project managers based in the US and Canada, and I was delivering and executing events for that. And then since I got back into the industry, social media pretty much kicked off. I lived my life on Facebook. I was putting albums up, and Instagram would have just gotten introduced, and Twitter. And so I was trying to get a handle because I absolutely loved the whole premise of it and the whole idea of social media. And I knew also that it was something that we should all be embracing as events, because I kept seeing so many leisure travel agents and business travel agents and that those industry segments doing so much, but not so much from event planners. And so my first foray into it was obviously launching and founding Hot Hospitality Exchange, which actually started as a Facebook page. And
amazing.
Yep. Really good. And the whole premise was I wanted to add all my event planner friends everyone that event plans,
Mm.
no suppliers, just event planners like myself, and create a space where we could just share information, and I could share or feature a city every week that was different, and venues in those cities that stood out to me. And that was kind of the start of it.
Mm.
Obviously, I realized very quickly that was a lot of work.
Yeah,
And
it is. It's so surprising, isn't
it
it?
is,
You
it
think,
is.
oh, I'll just do this every day and work.
It's so time consuming, and it was great. It was very, it was very well received. People, it didn't exist at the time.
Mm.
But I knew I wanted to do more, so I had this idea. Let me find someone to follow on YouTube that does what I do, or an event planner. But there is no event planners to follow on YouTube,
Yeah.
apparently, from and there isn't anyone making vlogs of their experiences. So I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. And I started as a hobby.
Amazing.
So that was in 2017 where the YouTube channel was launched. And on the base of that, I just kept being very, very all about social media. Every supplier I met, I was like, why aren't you doing more on social media? Why aren't you tagging? Why aren't you putting pictures of your event space? Why aren't you getting people that come to your fam trips to get social
Yeah.
as well and tag you? And, why aren't you taking advantage of this free platform? So yeah, and I guess that pretty much led to everything that you guys have been seeing me do today,
That's
which
so
is
exciting. And
content
that's a really
creation.
good tip there. Like, you've seen a gap in the market and you filled it. I think that's a really good point there. You know, I spoke to someone, Dan Assel, the other day, who also has created a YouTube channel. And look, I think it's the way forward. YouTube has really kicked off in, I was going to say the past year, but maybe the past 2 years. It's really, gone
It's
from 0
always
to 100.
it's been fundamentally the number one platform for social media that has ever existed. If you see the stats, I think someone shared an article that day about YouTube and how it is the most watched, downloaded, engaging platform there is for social media. So if you do have an opportunity to be on that platform, then that is a great one to have. And also, it's owned by Google, so come up in the search number one, whatever you put on there. So
absolutely, that's a really good point. And I know you just touched on engagement. How do you find it engaging with people through YouTube, through videos? I know you're like the queen of video on Instagram and on LinkedIn. So how do you think your audience finds engaging with you through video?
I think video is that it's a different dimension, isn't it? It almost, for me, video is the number one way to engage with my audience. It is how people get to know me. They get to know my mannerisms. They get to know how I speak, how I talk, because a lot of what is missing on social media, if you're only going to be putting pictures and words, is people will never know what your tone is. They don't know what your voice is. They don't know what your personality is. And video allows you to deliver that. So people don't have any kind of preconceived notions of what you might be like, how you sound, or anything like that. They see the video and they're like, oh, that's what she's like. And, and it is the opportunity for you to present yourself and, create that brand that you want, online people to resonate with and understand and trust at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
If you put yourself out there on video, you are in a way saying, you can trust me, this is who I am, this is me. And you just have to be consistent with it and keep putting your face out there. And in some sense, people almost feel like they know you even though you've never met.
Absolutely.
Which is an incredible thing.
That's it. And that's actually really funny that you say that, because we were just saying before we started the live how we've been emailing and everything, but we've never actually spoke face to face. But because I've watched your videos, I feel like we've formed like a friendship. It's just incredible.
Absolutely. And that is the power. That is the power of social media. And imagine being able to do that with every single one of your followers for your brand or your product. I mean, that's pretty mind-blowing, the potential and the opportunity that exists there.
Absolutely. And you kind of touched on consistency. Consistency is such an important thing to talk about. So look, how important is it for consistency, and how important is it just to have a strategy in general when it comes to social media, marketing your events, marketing yourself virtually?
Well, I think consistency is the number one thing, because Consistency is, it's not about I'm going to post at 2 p.m. every Thursday, or 3 p.m. every day. That's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about consistency. For me, consistency is about consistently showing up on your socials.
Yeah.
It's consistently having conversations, putting out content, putting out relevant content, and basically using all these areas to build engagement and to build your community and to create this online tribe, or this micro tribe as we call it, because everyone basically is in charge of their own micro tribe. You all have a micro tribe, right? It's the people that communicate with you online, right? And thank you to Dahlia for coming up with the micro tribe concept. I absolutely love it. And she didn't come up with it, but she coined it, so it was fantastic.
Sounds great.
But it is something super, super important. For me, it had, and it pays off. It pays off incredibly, because consistency is one of the pillars of how you build trust online. Yeah. If you consistently show up and you're consistently posting and you're consistently posting relevant content, and you start becoming part of people's algorithm, only through consistency are you going to become a part of someone's algorithm. When someone calls you and says, oh my God, like, you're so busy, I see you everywhere, that's got nothing to do with you. That's got everything to do with you've made it into their algorithm, and you're not going anywhere, and you're going to keep being in their algorithm, and they're going to keep seeing you. And that's because you've been consistent, and they've been consistently reading your posts, or finding it interesting, or resharing, or liking, or commenting, or whatever it is. So if you stick with it, it's like a friendship, right? Yeah. You have to be consistent. You can't just be like super tight besties for like 2 weeks, and then you'll speak to each other for a month, and then expect that it will remain the same. That can happen with friends, obviously, that you've had for 25 years. That's different. But, we're talking about new relationships. And the only way to build trust and to build a community and to build your tribe, so to speak, online, is if you are consistent.
That's really interesting. And it's actually really funny that you mentioned the algorithm. So it's exactly the same on Instagram. I follow quite a few influencers, within travel, within lifestyle, who one recently, she had some time off, and then she did like a video just saying, I don't know how to stay on the algorithm because I don't want to go on my phone. I don't want to post. What do you do in that situation? I know there are platforms and softwares out there, Buffer, for example, where you can pre-plan your content. How important is that?
That is important if you want to break. One very, very big underlying misconception of social media is that it's easy and you're just posting whenever and you're checking in whenever. And no, like you said, there has to be a strategy when it comes to social media, just like there has to be a strategy when you open a business or you're running a business. There are objectives that you want to hit. There are goals that you want to achieve. There's an ROI that you want from whatever platform that you are investing your time and your effort and your money sometimes in. If you want to create amazing content, there's amazing free resources and tools like Canva. But if you want to take it another level, you probably have to pay for Canva Premium, or you probably have to invest in Adobe's Creative Suite to really, create amazing content, or you want to pay someone to create the graphics for you. There can be investment of money involved. So all of that, obviously, you don't want to do for nothing. There has to be a strategy behind it. And time, obviously, is a huge, huge commodity for all of us, and it is valuable for all of us. And in order for you to be able and remain, I would say, multi-platform active and visible across different platforms, you need to have a scheduling plan. So you need to have not only a social media strategy. Under your social media strategy, you have to have a content strategy in terms of planning the content and also scheduling the content, exactly. Because you can make your life so much easier if you plan your content ahead of time. And you don't have to plan. And this is one thing, everyone's like, well, then I've planned everything for the month and I've got like the month off. And I always actually discourage that, because you don't know what's going to happen in a month.
Exactly, yeah.
You don't even know what's going to happen the week that you have. So schedule your content. And this is all I do, and I will be doing sort of courses on content creation and content management and content scheduling coming up in 2021, where you have to learn how to create a mixture of micro and macro content. And the micro content is content that you can just replace anytime with whatever might be trending that week. All of a sudden, I don't know, like for me, World Economic Forum just got announced that it was happening in Singapore this year. And to me, that is massive news for the events industry. And also for me as a Singaporean, I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. I want to somehow have it in my content. But I have to have a flexibility there where I can switch up the content. So I think, okay, so this got announced today, tomorrow I will put it. So I'll put it into my content plan. I'll replace a micro out and put that into the plan and then schedule it. That'll save you time so that you can use the time that all the posts are going out to stay visible. And you can do other things like podcasts, like collaborations with other event profs, work on your own things. So, you do need a strategy, and just like you need a strategy for your business, you need one for content and you need one for your socials.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting actually hearing that, because I spent 2 hours this morning doing my strategy, uploading all my content for the next 2 weeks, because like you said, it saves time. And at the time you think, 2 hours of doing this admin, but in the next 2 weeks, I don't even have to think about it. And, you just add to it. If something, like you said, comes up, you could just add to it. You don't need to replace anything. It's so important to save time to then get on with tasks.
And also, it's successful because you're still staying visible. People are seeing all your content, but you're able to allocate your time to other things as well behind the scenes. And for me, for example, I've got the family, so I've got to run off and cook dinner or my little one is now home for the holidays. And so it's essential for me to be able to manage and plan my time ahead of time and my activities so that I can allocate the time that I need behind the scenes to the mommy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the real life stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's so interesting. I could talk about this kind of forever because it's kind of what I do. But for event organizers listening right now, how do they go about starting a strategy? If they've got an event coming up, a virtual event, because no live events can take place, where do they go about starting their strategy
for the actual virtual event?
So for marketing their event or for their event.
So just like there's no one perfect platform for your virtual event, there's no one perfect strategy for your socials, right? So I think very, very important is for you, first of all, to determine which platforms you want to use to make the noise. And that is determined by where is the audience present that you want attending that virtual event. If primarily the audience for that virtual event is present on LinkedIn, and your marketing efforts then will be worth it, then you want to create a social media strategy around LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And if you feel that you also have an audience on Twitter, because there's lots of event professionals and a full community on Twitter, or also growingly on Instagram, then you have to factor in those three platforms. And also then you've defined, okay, I want to be present on these three platforms because this is where my potential audience and clients are going to be when I market this virtual event. And that's who I want to engage. Great. So you've set your platforms. Now it's about how do you go about engaging them on these platforms and getting their attention. And what's very, very important that people don't realize is you have to tweak your content per platform.
That's something I was going to say. You recently posted that and it was so important.
Yeah.
Like if you put up a picture on Instagram, the same thing is not going to be relevant, on LinkedIn with business professionals. You want to make it a bit more fun.
Exactly. Or you want to tweak it to the platform, like I could put, stories on Instagram is amazing. It's an amazing, amazing feature. It's not as exciting on LinkedIn stories and it's not as exciting on Fleets. Right? Because also the audience that's on LinkedIn, they're not used to stories. They'll click it, but they probably aren't going to engage on it as much as they would on Instagram because they're there for the stories. You know, people love the stories on Instagram. You know,
They
how
do.
people,
Yeah, I do.
yeah, exactly. You know, I could just be watching stories all day. It's brilliant and I love it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily do the same thing. I don't do this on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I kind of do this on, you know. So it's also, you know, how do people scroll on each platform? On Twitter,
That's a
everyone is
really good point,
scrolling,
actually. Yeah.
right? And on LinkedIn, they're scrolling like this as well. No one's doing this.
Mm.
They're going to start to do it because now they've introduced these features. But why wouldn't you just put the stories on the main platform, which is Instagram, because that's where it does its best work, right?
Mm.
And I always say you can always reshare stories to LinkedIn and to fleets of what you produce on Instagram. That's great if you want to fill that void. But in terms of functionality and features, the LinkedIn stories are not good. And you cannot do anything unless you pre-edit and create content and then upload. That's where you can create amazing slides. But on the actual tool itself, you cannot make it amazing because it doesn't have the features and all of that that LinkedIn, Instagram does.
It's funny, actually. Stories are coming to everything. You know, I think Snapchat has stories now, Twitter, everything.
Everything, you know, and a lot of people are getting overwhelmed because they're like, oh my God, it means that I have to create now all the, and I'm like, you don't overwhelm yourself. You know, even if you just focus on one platform, if you put everything you have into just that one platform, you will see results. Because again, it goes back to consistency. Yeah. It's like, do you want to be a master, was it a joker of everything but a master of none, right?
Yeah.
And for me, very early on, I knew Facebook was not somewhere I would thrive. Personally, yes, I connect with friends and stuff, but as a business, that's not where I would want to create content for. I knew very early on that it was going to be LinkedIn and it was going to be Instagram. These are the two that I can engage on the most, and I love creating content for, and I create very differently. On LinkedIn, I have conversations with people. You know, it's all about creating conversations, giving my thoughts and opinions, giving insights, sharing other people's contents, supporting my community of event profs, and creating content that way. That's how I've built up LinkedIn for myself. Instagram is completely different. Instagram for me is a creative tool. It's where I can have fun with the content. It's where I can put GIFs and I can put like music and I can do all sorts of things on the stories. And put photo albums and anything IGTV, and I can go live. So it gives me two dimensions to produce content in two different ways. I don't pay that much attention on Facebook. I just reshare from Instagram. Everyone that follows me will see that. So, you know, I'm not talking nonsense. I don't do it. And Twitter is something where, you know, I have my notifications on. So if I'm tagged into comments, then I respond and I react. And if there's something super important I want to share, I do share it on Twitter. But I'm not massively active on Twitter as well, you know. So for me, I have identified what my visibility platforms are. They are LinkedIn, they are Instagram. That is the two platforms that I use to build my brand and get business and give my insights and my opinions, and they have been working for me. And just like that, everyone else has to determine what is the platform that's going to give them the most opportunities, the best voice to put their opinions and things across, and the most engagement. You know, you could put so much content onto Twitter, but if no one is talking to you, what is the point?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same for events, like event organizers listening. You know, if you're planning a corporate event, just have a think, are they going to really want TikTok? Are they going to be on Instagram to find your content? Have a think about your audience opposed to, you know, what you enjoy.
You have to think about the demographic. You know, I know that if you're thinking about a virtual event for event professionals, they are very active on Twitter and they are very active on LinkedIn. TikTok is not something they're on yet. If you want to create fun advertising and marketing videos, you can use TikTok as the platform for creation. I'm not saying for marketing. For creation, you can create TikTok. And the beauty of TikTok is it's a shareability. You can share those videos of marketing your product to Twitter, and you can share it on LinkedIn. but that should not be where you are actually marketing, because your audience is not on it yet, you know? So, but you're using the best of both worlds. You're using the creativity of the tool to create the content, and you have a space where you can save it as a, you know, of your marketing content. You can download the videos later to repurpose that content if you need to.
That's exactly what we do. Yeah.
Right. And then you spread it across the actual viable and relevant platforms that you're using for marketing, which in this case would be Twitter, and it would be, to some level, it could be Instagram, and as well as LinkedIn, you know. So it's about also learning about the different functionalities of every platform and how you can use them to your advantage. A lot of people are like, I don't want to use TikTok. It freaks me out, you know, and I don't want to be singing and dancing. And I'm like, we don't have to, you know. What the singing and dancing on TikTok is a creative way of delivering a marketing message, or a message that is within your niche creatively, right? No one's ever done it before. That's why it's so popular. I mean, who wouldn't love seeing a video of me talking about, here are all the social media platforms that you should be using, you know, as opposed to me just telling you, well, you should be using Instagram, LinkedIn.
It's just a new thing, isn't it?
It's like just anything, a new thing.
Yeah.
You know, but the number one advice I always give to people, and this is something I got from Gary Vee, you know, hands up. I do love him. I think he's fantastic. He scares me a little bit, but I do enjoy his content. But he said to me, and he was the reason I was like, okay, I'm going to check out TikTok. He said, yes, you can go on TikTok and you can see all these silly videos. Yeah. But like with any other social media platform, you have to train the algorithm to give you what you want to see in order for you to be inspired to create. Yeah. So I'm going to go on TikTok, spend 20 minutes every day on TikTok, but I'm going to hashtag search what I want: digital marketing tips, LinkedIn tips, social media strategy, I don't know, graphic design, right? These are all hashtags. And then watch videos for 20 minutes on the hashtags that you've searched and who's coming up. And your mind will be blown in terms of how many amazing content creators and videos there are. And then you think, well, I could do that, you know?
It's just something new to try.
It's something new to try. And it's essentially people, other content creators, showing you how you can diversify your delivery methods of something, you know, the message, you know. So imagine a hotel, you know, my husband works for a hotel here in Cologne, and he was just, do you think my sales team should start doing TikToks? And I was just like, why not? Like, well, I don't know. Is it like what's the ROI on it? And I was like, interesting question, right? Now, I think you as a hotel, it would be amazing if you were on TikTok. Imagine all the awesome videos you could create as a hotel on TikTok, right? And you get your sales team in, you can introduce them, you can do so many fun things, but also you can share it to the platforms that you're already very, very present on. You know, they've got a big following on Instagram. They can upload the videos also to their website, to their Facebook page. You know, it's not just building a presence on TikTok, it's using the power of TikTok to, you know, push it towards all your other channels, you know. You just have to open your mind a little bit in terms of platforms and, you know, defining the uses of these platforms and how they can help you create content for your other platforms as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's super, super interesting. And for the event organizers listening, you know, we touched on visibility. How do you become more visible? I know algorithm is a big thing, and consistency. How else? I know that tagging people is such a big thing. You know, if you tag someone, they feel inclined to like it or to share it, and it's just getting your name out there, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I'm all for tagging people, but don't tag 50 people in one post. Don't even tag the maximum number of people that you can tag, because it's great to be tagged if it's in specific context to something. If it's a travel related post, don't tag me. Because as much as I love travel, probably the comment that I would give wouldn't be as relevant to someone that is, for example, might be a travel manager for a company, or might be a travel agent, or someone that actually focuses on travel for their role. If you find something interesting, chances are 4 or 5 other people that find it interesting too, that you want to hear from. And there's a reason why you're thinking of those 4 or 5 people, because you want to know what they think. Then you tag them. But don't tag everyone and anyone just to be noticed and get attention, because a lot of people don't enjoy being tagged with 30 other people. This is something I have been seeing, and it's my advice. I don't mind it, but chances of me responding if I'm tagged with 30 other people is probably going to be a bit lower than if I'm tagged with like
it's more
8
personal,
other people. And I love posts where I'm tagged within the body of the post, not like a C at the bottom. And you can also tag people in the comments. Or ask people to tag other people, like, I love your opinion. Do you know anyone else who you think could give a good insight into this? Because, and then you get to know someone else, and that person is brought into your circle as well, and into your algorithm, or you are brought into their algorithm. So tagging is very, very good. To me, it's just conversations, it's learning how to engage properly. Liking something is not engagement. Dropping an emoji is not engagement. Emojis, actually, people emojis don't count. You put 3 fire symbols, that does nothing for someone's engagement. That is just fire symbols, and that's great, and that's appropriate for if you're talking to your friend, she's put on a new whatever, and you're just like fire. That's great. But from a business context, if you want to actually build your engagement and your community, use your words.
Agree.
Use your words. Comment thoughtfully. Comment where what you're saying is of value, because everything that you say on social media is your reputation and what you are a thought leader on, and what other people are going to think you're a thought leader on, and build their visual of who you are. So that's why you have to remain consistent on how you respond, and be very, very thoughtful about how you comment.
Absolutely.
But then
Consistency is key.
you just got to keep having conversations. That's the best way to build engagement.
I could talk about this all day, but we've hit the 30-minute mark. I feel like we could stay on for another 2 hours, so here we are. But Sabrina, it's been so nice talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you? Because I'm sure some people listening need to carry on the conversation.
Absolutely. So I am on LinkedIn as Sabrina Meyers. I am on Instagram, where I love, and I'm very, very active. And my handle is @hothospitality. And if you are on Twitter, I am also on Twitter, active @hothospitality as well. My handles for Instagram and Twitter are the same. That's a secret tip.
I was just about to say that's a great tip. Just don't overcomplicate things. If you've got different handles, people are just going to get lost and not be able to find you.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Exactly. But thank you so much, Rianne, for this opportunity. It's been amazing. And
it's been really good. We could talk all day.
We could. And thank you again. Last Friday before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everyone.
Yes, I hope everyone listening is having a lovely festive season. If you do have any questions, or you'd like to come on the podcast in Sabrina's shoes, then pop me an email at rianne@eventmindpro.com, and we will see you for a special one on Monday. See you all. Bye.
See you all. Bye.